It's almost like the rooms of AA.
Oh, it's the
you
exact
stay
same
in the
thing.
rooms of AA long enough, you see people, they go in and out, in and out,
and that's the same thing. Yeah. And I used to be so bitter because I'd see these dudes that would come in, year and a half, 2 years, then 3 years, 4 years, and for the same charge I'm doing 12 years for. So that made me so bitter and so resentful towards God. And like, I would literally talk shit about God. Like if anyone said that, I'd like, F that lame. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even try that shit. There's not a chance he's real. And if you just tell him I said to suck it, that's what I used to say. How disrespectful is that, right? But like, I was mad at, if he was real, like, there's no way he cared about me or loved me. So like, why would I care anything about him?
My friend, and welcome to another episode of I Love Being Sober, sponsored by Camelback Recovery, Arizona's premier mental health and addiction treatment option to help newcomers get on the path or stay on the path to recovery. If that's you or someone you know, then you're in the right place, because my name is Tim Westbrook and I'm the CEO and founder of Camelback Recovery here in the always sober and always sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where my team and I, over the course of many years, have helped thousands of people to stop their suffering and continue on their path to recovery. Today, I'm here with Peter Meyerhoff, aka Chappy, and we're going to talk about his life as it changed from being a popular, normal, everyday athlete in high school to a drug addict and being a pariah and sentenced to 12 years in prison. We're going to talk about his journey through recovery, psychedelics for recovery, his prison curriculum app, and wherever else the conversation takes us. Peter is a best-selling author, motivational speaker, and podcaster, a sober clothing company owner, prison curriculum app developer, husband, and father. As a teenager, Peter was involved with hard drugs, which led him to stealing cars, robbing houses, and ultimately being sentenced to 12 years of incarceration. As an inmate, Peter was swallowed up by prison politics and soon became a shot caller. Mired by violence and drug abuse, Peter spent his last 11 months in solitary confinement. When released, he decided to turn his pain into a drive for success. Peter's goals are now to motivate people when he speaks using mental strength he acquired in solitary confinement, helping people get sober, and change the recidivism rate by showing people what's really possible with the right drive and no excuses. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Is that really about me? Sometimes it's kind of shocking hearing that.
It's so crazy, right? It's like, wow. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I'm really excited to have you here on the show. I know a little bit about you, but I'm looking forward to learning more.
Absolutely.
And we've got, as we were talking before the show, we've got several mutual connections, so it's really cool.
And if you know those people, you're doing good things, though. So obviously we're in the same little circle. We just never officially met. So it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about your life growing up.
Yeah. So, as you said, I had it all as a kid. I was the top athlete. I had a modeling agent at like 13. I was in a movie. I thought I was going to have my pick at what I wanted to go professional at. Didn't take school seriously, but school came easy to me. I always say this now. I have such ADD and ADHD and ADD so bad that I've never once in my entire life listened to what my teacher said and just like tried to apply it. Never in my entire life. Like even in school, everything I did was just like kind of winging it on the fly, and like. Freshman year in high school, it all changed me. My parents split when I was like 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. I don't think it affected me that well. People could say now it did affect me, but I don't think it affected me that well. And I just went and, stayed with my mother as me, her, and my brother shared a little studio apartment. I shared the same bed with my mom until I was like 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to high school, she ended up getting a house with my grandma that we all lived at. My grandma, my mom, me, and my brother. And my mom was a flight attendant. So she was always out of town on weekends. And it worked well for me because that's how you get in with the older dudes in high school, a party house on the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's what my house was. I was the freshman. I was instantly in with all the seniors and juniors because of the house I had to party at. And, I started just partying and drinking and doing what you do in high school. Like I got it real quick because I was instantly in with the older guys, So I'm in freshmen hanging out with all these seniors that have half day schedules and they're drinking all the time and smoking weed. And that's what I started doing. Yeah. And then You know, one night it all changed. I remember I was with my old best friend Brandon, and he'd asked me to literally take one for the team. You know, hook up with this chick Ashley, and he wanted to hook up with Lindsay. We were both virgins at this time, and I had known the chick Ashley since I was in first grade. Never wanted to touch her. Could have if I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? She was one of those girls, and like lost her virginity in like middle school. You know, and I'm a loyal friend, and like I want to say I think I was kind of too loyal. You know, and so I was like, all right, whatever, I'll take one for the team.
So hold on. So I just want to go back to your parents divorced at 11, 12. So I've got some similarities already that I'm listening to. My parents got divorced between 6th and 7th grade.
Yep.
And I realized, looking back, and I realized this recently, like that divorce and then my mom moving us 80 miles away, an hour and a half away, that was one of the most traumatic things that ever happened to me in my life.
Really?
Absolutely. And so recently, you know, I'm coming up on 13 years sober.
Congrats.
I finally have like really, truly processed.
See, I don't even think I'm there. I think you're ahead of me in that aspect, you know?
And I can talk to you. And it's just been, you know, I just, you know, tearing up just even thinking about it. And so yeah, we can talk more about that, but I know you're on the path to, so let's go back. So keep on going.
So that weekend I knew my mom was out of town.
And my mom used to go out she would go out on dates. And she got on a date. I'm having a party. My house is the party house. Everything. And it was so, again.
It's and just like within recovery, you think everyone's so different. You think you're the only one feeling this way. And then once you really dig in, you realize like everybody else is the same way. We all have the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? We all got a story. Everyone's just a little bit different. But it's a little bit different, but it's all the same story.
Yeah, right.
So Friday night, we go. She sneaks out of her house, right? Okay. Her older brother took him out. So he supplied us with a bottle of Jack Daniels, sneaks the two girls outside their literally bedroom window like we do when you're kids at like midnight. And keep in mind, we're all 15. None of us can even drive yet. Brings them over to my mom's house, drops them off at, I don't even know, midnight, 12:30, something like that. And then come back to pick them up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Right before the parents get up. Mm-hmm. We polish off a half bottle of Jack Daniels. We both lose our virginity. Everything's cool, this and that, whatever. To be honest, I was like, sex was okay, but I didn't think it was that cool. You know, I was drunk and it was like,
right.
All 3 seconds of it wasn't that fun for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the next night we're like, all right, we're going to do this. I'm going to try this again, you know? So we do the exact same thing. Like, sneak out 12:30 again. Now we have the second bottle of Jack Daniels still in my house, so we polish off the second bottle of this Jack Daniels. Now I've had sex twice in my entire life. They sneak back in. Everything's hunky-dory. It's all good. Sunday, I go to call them, like, to hang out, and it was so weird, bro. Like, she was acting like she was, like, mad at me. Like, I could tell she was being kind of short, and I was like, yo, what is your deal? And it wasn't the girl that I hooked up with. It was her friend, Lindsay. And then she's like, she kind of said like she was like mad at me or something like that. I was like, for what could have possibly happened? I was just with you guys like 6 hours ago, you know?
Right.
And she won't even tell me what she's mad at me for. So anyways, I'm like, whatever, chicks are whack. I end up hanging up on them. Let's go on with my Sunday. By the time I go home that Sunday night, I walk into my mom's house and my mom's on the phone like right by the front door. And literally as I walk in the house, the next thing I hear my mom say is, there's no way my son raped your daughter. And I was like, grab the phone out of my mom's. I was like, what the hell is that? She's like, that was Ashley Chance's mom. And I'm like, what the hell is she saying? She's like, she said you had sex while she was sleeping. I was like, you are kidding me. Not even close to what happened. Cops come rolling up. Cops asked me what happened. Told her we had sex last night and the night before. And they're like, will you take a lie detector test? I said, yeah, absolutely. She refused to take a lie detector test. Didn't want to press charges. But of course, went to school bragging about it like it was a cool thing to do. So that next day comes around at school. And they literally closed the campus down and pulled me into the principal's office with the police officer there and was just like, they had gotten so many like messages. I call them kites because I'm from prison now, but like I don't know what they're called. They gotten so many messages that something bad was going to happen to me after school. And so they literally told my parents, you know, we don't know what to do right now. This is a big issue, but we can't keep your son safe here. So I would suggest probably finding another school or just having him drop out or something.
Wow.
And I was just like, you know, I was an athlete. Like that's all I did was play sports. I never touched a video game in my life.
And what? And this was freshman year.
Freshman year. I'm still 15 years old.
Okay.
And I'm like, what? My life sucks now. Give up on God. Like, what is this that possibly happened to me, you know? And the craziest part about it is my own best friend didn't even stand up for me. The dude I took one for the team for. Right. All he has to do is say she came over to hook up and we did the same thing Friday night. That thing goes nowhere. He's like, I'm not getting involved in that stuff. Which is what everybody's going to do for the most part. You realize like all those people you think are your friends ain't really your friends. Well, who's really your friends is your family and stuff. You know, the people that are going to be down for you if you do go to prison. You know, do you think any of my friends visited me when I was in prison?
Wow.
0 of them. So I drop out of school. And what do I turn to? Drugs. Because now the guy, I was the most popular kid now at Tukey, so I knew everybody now at Tukey. Since I can't hang out with my jock friends because they're in school and the other half want to smash me. Their friends want to smash me. I go start hanging out with the drug addicts that aren't in school. And I get introduced to crystal meth, crack cocaine, all these hard drugs.
Well, I mean,
first time.
You kind of have no chance.
Literally no chance.
Because you're a product of your environment.
Yeah.
You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yep.
And if you're spending time with drug addicts,
yeah. There's no more true statement in the world, and that goes to myself to this day now. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so selective on who I give my time to now. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, back then when I'm hanging out with dudes that are playing sports, I'm playing sports. So I'm hanging out with dudes that are smoking crack and doing crystal meth and stealing cars. That's what I'm doing, you know?
Right.
And I remember the first time he told me to do crystal meth. I was like, what is it? I'd never even seen that shit before, bro. You know? And he's like, tells me, it's like, trust me, it's like cocaine times 10. He's like, you're going to love it. Just trust me. Just trust me, right? Just trust me. Oof. Those famous last words, right? And I do it. I'm hooked. I don't even realize it. My life got such a blur. I didn't get off it one day until I went into treatment. I was already in inpatient rehab at 15 years old. I think it was called Crossroads or something out there in East Chandler.
Okay. What year was this?
01 or 2000 or something, or Boardwalk or something, maybe.
Okay. Because Crossroads East is...
I'm sorry, not Crossroads. It's called Boardwalk. It's like the juvenile version of something else out there in East Chandler or something.
Okay.
Of course, now that I'm off drugs, I'm in there. I'm supposed to go to this 28-day treatment. I'm 15 years old. So now that I'm like finally got off drugs, I'm in there for a week or two. Now I'm like bawling my eyes out. Like, you guys got to get me out of here. Like, I do not belong here with these people. Like,
right.
I'm not on meth anymore. Like, whatever. Get me out of here from these people. You know what I'm saying? I was the youngest one in there, and it was just like, it was not cool. And I was just so naive. And I feel like a lot of people at the beginning, they're so naive to how powerful the drug addiction is. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I honestly didn't have a clue. I honestly thought I was good now. I was like, all right, I'm sober and I'm not going back to that stuff. And literally the second I get out that night, my buddies want to have a little party for me. My cool drug addict friends now, you know?
Yeah.
So then now I'm like, I'm not going to do meth. I'm just going to do cocaine.
Right.
Because it's less than meth. So I do blow that night. And the next day I go back to meth though, you know?
Of course.
And just, you know, the stuff, like I said, it just slowly progresses downhill. And then you start getting into, you know, stealing, you know, checks or little stuff from people's houses. And then you're shoplifting, and then you're pulling robberies. And then you're, you know, it's just stealing cars. I stole a brand new Mercedes-Benz from the Mercedes-Benz dealership, brand new, you know. And then it all changed when I was 18 years old. Now, keep in mind at this time, I'm on probation for stealing that Mercedes-Benz. And it's spring break, which should have been my senior in high school. I'm 18 years old. And my brother and his friends, remember I told you my mom's house was the party house, right?
Right.
Well, 3 or 4 more years of that going on. Now the party's on the weekend, or my brother and his friends out there drinking, and me and my friends locked in my room with the door closed doing meth and stuff, you know? Like, it's no fun. There's no more pulling chicks. It's like 5 of us in the same room just tweaking, you know? So with the door locked.
Up all night long.
One's looking out the window. Like that. It's so crazy to think how much, like, to live like that. And I'm like, I think back now, I'm like, how the hell could I not stop? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so horrible to hear now, even the stuff I used to do. And I'm like, but you know, it's God's plan. Like God didn't want me to quit back then. And it obviously clearly had to make more of a mess to, you know, have a good message going forward now. So,
well, it's like life happens for you, not to you.
Absolutely. Yep. And the quicker you realize that, the better off you are.
I mean, it's like, if you're trying to fight what happened, it's a losing battle. And I'm just listening to you, just thinking about my own life. And I never did crystal meth. I never, like, thank God.
Yep.
I just never, I mean, your path obviously is your path, and you are where you are today and who you are today because of your path. But that's a road I could have easily gone down.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I never really did drugs until I graduated from college. And so thankfully I was just a raging alcoholic.
There you go. Yeah.
And so I was able to somewhat function enough to get through college, and
there you go,
before it escalated to other things. And I had enough money to stick with cocaine instead of crystal meth.
Yeah, there you go. Funny.
I mean, it's like,
yeah, it's the truth though. You know, we all got the same stuff.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So we're at my mom's house now. My little brother's friend comes in the room, and they just told me that they just robbed my friend's house, and who was my best friend that wouldn't stand up for me, right? And keep in mind, they're the richest family in all of Ahwatukee.
Okay.
Like 15,000 square foot crib with the indoor basketball court with their last name on it. Like, the most spoiled rotten kids you've ever seen in your life. Not only like my best friend Brandon, like, they didn't even get whatever car they wanted. Like, when they were 15 and a half, they got whatever car they wanted. And I remember he got a brand new Escalade. We walked out there when he's 15 and a half. So it's not even your 16th birthday. The day you get your permit, he gets a brand new Escalade, still had the MSRP sticker on the windshield.
Right.
And he literally, I watched him bitch to his dad that it was a stock Escalade. He didn't want it white. So his dad goes and spends like 10 grand on a silver paint job, puts the rims on, all this stuff. Like that's the kind of kids these dudes were, right? Okay. So they tell me that they just robbed their house and that they're in Hawaii for spring break. Mm-hmm. And we're like, how long are they there for? So they're like, they're still gone for like 5 days. I'm like, no way. I'm like, you guys just went to, and they're like, yeah. So like, I'm like, how'd you get in? Like the back door was open. I was like, bet, let's go. So me and my buddies go back. Did I swear? I wanted to get back at him. Clearly I wanted drug money, obviously, to sell some stuff for drug money. But like, I planned on taking stuff to where when they got home and he like went to look for something, he didn't know where it was. He wasn't going to come home like, oh my God, our house got robbed. Let's call the police. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I never made it out of the garage. This is a full tweaker story right here. I got 12 years in prison. I stole a drill, a snowboard, Jordan basketball shorts, and Jordan flip-flop sandals. Never made it out of the garage. By the time I'm in this garage, still just tweaked out, going through these basketball shorts and stuff. My buddies come running down. They're like, we got the jewelry, let's go. We all just run out of there in a blur, get back to my house. And I'm not joking, these dudes pull out a bag of jewelry. And I'm like, what the I didn't know how to get off this stuff now. You know, I was not no big time drug dealer. Like my drug dealer doesn't even have the money to buy this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I have zero idea.
Who am I going to sell this to?
That's what I'm saying. I could take a drill to him or a snowboard or something like that. Like I don't, there's no chance I could sell a $15,000 diamond ring or something like that, you know?
Right.
And I was like, dude, I just knew right then. I was like, God, we screwed up this time. You know what I mean? Like all I was thinking, I was just like,
do you remember the feeling you got?
I remember thinking I really fucked up this time. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know how bad this is me. I could just tell this is I just had a feeling this was bad and it shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? And I just, to be honest, just waiting for the wrath of it, you know, because there's 10 kids involved. Of course, kids are going to talk. They're not gangster kids. They're not gangbangers. They're literally citizens from Ahwatukee. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So of course, when they get hemmed up, what do all the kids say? I'm already got a record. Mm-hmm. Peter and his friends did it. We were sleeping at his mom's house. They came back and we saw them. They told us they robbed the Nelson's house. My 3 friends, of course, tell the cops I did it. Told them they were all sleeping on my mom's house. This magically, just me and my one friend did all this, and everybody was sleeping, right? And I didn't say nothing because now I'm on probation, right? So I'm like this little tough kid, right? So I'm like, eat a dick to the cops, you know? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they tell me they're going to make an example out of me. And, you know, they did. You know, I got 12 years in prison for a non-dangerous burglary charge at 18 years old.
Did you serve 12 years?
I served 11 years and 10 months straight.
Oh my! So no, like
none of that.
No, you off for good behavior.
I didn't have good behavior. Like my last 11 months, I was under in solitary confinement. I was under investigation for another attempted murder.
Wow.
I didn't like. You get 12 years at 18 years old, you think it's a life sentence, and you don't even think about getting out. You know, I'm from Ahwatukee. Like I didn't look like this either. I was 6 foot, 144 pounds. I used to model. Okay. Like long blonde hair. Uh-huh. Like come to find out they thought I was gay. Luckily, I whooped the dude that was running my building first, and then they're like, come up to me like, dude, we thought you were kind of gay. You know, I was like. What? Like, say something to me. You know what I mean? But I'm used to Ahwatukee. I'm the tough kid in Ahwatukee. I'm not on a 4-yard in a prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got 12 years in prison at 18 years old. And you want to talk about if I didn't have a reason to not believe in God and give up on life anymore, that was it for me. You know what I mean?
Wow. So when did you actually stop doing drugs?
I got worse with drugs in prison.
Right. So because some people that don't know think that maybe you're going to go to prison and you're going to get
sober up and clean up and do programs and change your life, right? None of that happens. Well, this is why my mission is so powerful to me now. So,
right. What happens when you go to prison?
I'll tell you. When you're going to prison, especially when you're going to do a chunk of time like I did, so you know you're going to the higher yards, they're like, just beware of the heroin. You know what I mean? And like, I honestly didn't even know what heroin was really. You know what I'm saying? I had heard about it, but I had no idea what it even was. And they're like, dude, everybody, when you get to prison, they're going to just switch you off meth and they're going to be doing heroin. And I'm like, whatever.
How do you get it?
Cops, visitation. Your girlfriend could bring it up to you in visitation. Uh-huh. COs. I was in a relationship with a corrections officer for like 9 months, so she was bringing it into me. All kind of crazy stuff. On a 4-yard. Literally on a 4-yard. 70% of the yards doing life sentences. And I'm in a relationship with a corrections officer, and she's bringing me in heroin every day.
How's that? That's like a different world.
Yeah,
that's like a different world.
It is, absolutely.
And you're this white kid from Ahwatukee.
Yeah, who was a white kid from Ahwatukee. Yeah, it was literally a model, and I was in a movie. You know.
Wow.
And you know what's crazy? So I'll tell you how just shitty a lot of those people are in there. You know, like granted, there's good ones too, but like most of those people deserve to be in there. And they don't deserve to get out. You know what I mean? And like, so I'm now at this point now I'm like running shit, right? So I'm 23 years old. This is on that 4-yard where I'm in a relationship with a corrections officer. Mm-hmm. I have unlimited amounts of drugs. Like, when you run a yard too, you have to do that. So it's not just about being tough, you know, because on those yards, everybody's tough. Like, you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to be like a people person. You have to be level-headed, you know, like, so there's a lot more that goes into it, you know? So like, I always had the money, unlimited amounts of drugs from this corrections officer that I was with. And it was just, I didn't do drugs back then, even heroin. So I would have the sack of heroin and I wouldn't touch it, because another thing that guys told me too, and they're like, some guys told me like, once you could not do heroin, or you could do heroin 5 times and you'll hate it, and then the 6th time I loved it. That's what a few guys have told me. Because I don't know how familiar you are with heroin, but like, okay, so
I know about it, but the taste is horrible. Thankfully, I've never done it.
Good. So the taste is horrible. Like you snort a little cap and you could taste it in your mouth, like your food you just swallowed. It's the worst thing in the world, right? So like my OG in there, the dude that was like schooling me, who was my cellie, who's like literally my prison pops, he's an old drug addict, right? Since I have this sack of heroin, I'm with this cop, he's holding my stuff, and of course he dips into it all day long, right? And here's the deal: if it's nighttime and the drugs are put up, but he wants to like pull it out to get more out, he can't just pull out my stash and like do it in front of me, you know? So what does he do then? Yo, Chappy, let's do something. You know, come on, let's do something. So they don't convince me to do it. And I remember the last time I did, I told him, I was like, yo, I told him that exact thing that someone told me. I said, Scotty, I hate this shit now, man. I was like, people have told me that like one time they just started liking it. You know, I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me. I literally told him that. He's like, quit being such a pussy, man. Those dudes don't know what they're talking about, you know? Dude, and like clockwork, man. So the next day, because in prison, a bunch of those guys are just drug addicts, you know? So like, I was running the whites. The dude that was running the Mexicans, neither of us did heroin, right? And we're about the only 2 dudes in the entire pod that don't do heroin. And so I hung out with him a lot because all these guys are just dope fiends, you know? Like, I always had unlimited amounts of money. I'm like, I don't mess with these guys. They're kind of dope fiends. I just kind of like looked at them one way, and I was like, that is not me. I come home from work one day, and he comes over to my house. I see my house, my cell, and he's just like lit. Like, I could see his eyes. I was like, bro, what are you on? Because remember, he don't do drugs. And he's like, black. And I was like, shut up, fool. What are you on? And he's like, for real? And I was like, what do you mean you don't do that shit? And he's like, I did say, and he shows me in his hand. He has literally a handful of syringes, needles. And I was like, what the hell are those for? He's like, I slammed it. I was like, yeah, right, bro. And he's like, I swear, bro. He's like, my cellie just hit me. He's like, these are all brand new. He's like, I'll give you a brand new one. I'm like, it's cool. You like it? He goes, bro, it's the shit. I'm like, all right. He's like, just stay back from chow right now. And he's like, I'll have my cellie hit you. It's the first time I ever slammed heroin. That's how casually it was brought up to me. But it was from a guy that wasn't a dope fiend, so I took his word for it. You know what I mean? And clearly, I'm more of an addict than he is because he was able to just play with the stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time I do that, bro, I'm off to the races, bro. Like, you think mess addicting, there's nothing comparable to heroin. Like, I'm not even joking. There was literally times that if I would have had the means to kill myself being dope sick, I would have full on killed myself. And there's other times that I would have literally murdered somebody to get a fix, like to get not dope sick. Like, it is the most vicious, brutal drug in the world. I almost lost my arm like a year and a half before I got out from an abscess from slamming dope. And that's how my whole prison sentence was. You know, I was running shit and I was a shot caller, and I thought I just want to be this big, bad, crazy dude. I turned into the biggest drug addict dope fiend you've ever seen, and they're just like everybody else. And then, you know, luckily so my last 11 months when I went to solitary confinement, I went to the hole for calling a shot on somebody that they tried to kill, right? God saved this dude's life because the dude had I'm not trying to be too graphic here, but it's like throat slit, ear to ear, eyes completely stabbed out. Like, he lived, but he's blind. Like, I don't even know how the dude lived, right? And of course, I'm the shot caller, bro. So they're like, that happens on the yard. You called the shot. And I'm like, no, I go home in like 11 months. They're like, well, you're the only one that has the power to call that shot. And if you didn't, you're the only one that could have stopped it. So they ended up throwing me in the hole for this. And they tell me that you just screwed up your release date. They're like, you ain't going home. So now I'm in the hole again. And I'm like, I have 11 months to go. Don't even know if I'm going home now. They told me, you better hope this guy lives. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about anyways. I didn't do anything, you know?
Right.
And so I go to CDU. Luckily, the guy lives. And I'm in that CDU for like a month or so, you know? And I'm like telling this. Now I'm telling this.
What's CDU?
It's Correctional Complex Detention Unit. So it's the whole solitary confinement. Yep. Okay. And so I'm in there and I'm like, now that the investigation's kind of up, because usually the investigations are 30 days. They're called a 2A investigation, right? And so now my investigation's up. I'm like, yo, what's up? When am I going back to the yard, or send me back to maximum security? And literally the SSU cops, which are like the detectives in there. So anything you get booked on in there, it's called SSU, which are like the street detectives, but they're just corrections officer detectives, right? So he tells me, verbatim, I remember like it was yesterday, he's like, Mr. Meyerhoff, we are so done with you. We're like, they're going to let the streets have their luck with you. You're going to sit in the cell until you go home, but you're going to go home from the cell. And I was just like, bro, you can't expect me to do 12 years in prison and then do my last 11 months in the cell and like not be institutionalized and make it. You know what I mean? He's like, good luck, bro. Like, we don't care.
Know what to say.
Should have thought about that before, you know? And I'm like, luckily, all I needed was to get sober a little bit. Like, I could never rack up time being sober, you know? So that's why I said God saved my life with that. You know what I mean? And my last 11 months, I was able to get sober, and I went down from 170 pounds. I ended up getting out. I put on almost 100 pounds, 90 pounds in 11 months.
So what was it like being in the hole and getting clean?
Being dope sick's the worst because, like,
how long were you dope sick for?
Almost 2 weeks straight. Like,
okay.
And it lasts for longer than that, but like 2 weeks straight, I wasn't sleeping more than an hour, maybe two. And it's like the fidgets, the sweats, like nonstop. Like no joke, the first 4 or 5 days, you don't sleep more than 10, 15 minutes a night. And then you're just a zombie all day. And like, the only thing that I noticed that would work for me when I was dope sick is like getting sunlight and just like sweating that shit out. Like the CDUs are freezing. So you're just in there freezing, dope sick, just like literally just shitting on yourself, throwing up, like the worst you could imagine. They came and saw me the first 2 days and they almost took me to the hospital because they're like, you can't die from that stuff, but I was in really bad shape.
Wow.
And, you know, I had like a street drug habit on a 4-yard in prison. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And after a couple weeks and I get sober, now I'm just like so grateful to be sober. But like, all right, now I got to get out of this thing. And then after they told me I was staying in there for a while, I think because it's all like what you tell yourself, you know what I'm saying? At first I just wanted to get out of the hole so bad. And then after like a couple months, I was like, this is probably the best thing that could happen to me. You know what I'm saying?
What you resist persists.
Yes. So I'm like,
so you finally, you're in acceptance.
Yep.
You're like, okay, I'm here.
Yep.
Okay.
And then it's like, because here's the deal. Now I don't have any of these prison politics getting in my ear before I go home. You know what I'm saying? I don't have all this stuff that like I have to unwire when I get out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just like I write my family. I get my one phone call a week, and I just do push-ups in my cell all day long, and that's it. You know, like. And my last 11 months, Arizona's not like it is out in other places. Like it's 24-hour day lockdown. You get 3 showers a week, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And when they take you to the shower, like you're shackled before they even let you out of your cell door. They escort you to the shower, literally lock you in the shower, put a master lock on the shower, and then they cuff you up and shackle you out just like that to get you back into your cell. So you'll never, ever step foot out your cell without being completely shackled. So I got out from that to the streets. Like it was so crazy. Like when they let you out, you go to the release tanks. I was literally shackled, being escorted like Hannibal Lecter to my release tank. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because I was a 5'5" before I get out, and then the family just let me out.
So now you're in solitary confinement. You're sober. You finally you're no longer dope sick. And I mean, they say it's like when you get clean and sober, some people get sober, but they're still like a dry drunk or a dry addict, and so you still have the trauma, you still have all of the pain and all of the reasons why you drank and used, because the drinking is the solution, the drug is the solution.
Yep.
So how were you able to start working on your, I guess, mental and emotional recovery while in solitary confinement?
I wasn't even. That's why I said I didn't do anything positive my entire prison sentence. Okay. Like I didn't even know like what real recovery was. Like I just knew I couldn't get dope, and I was happy about that. That was it. My only thought was, thank God I'm in here so I can't get high.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a dry. So you still have it.
Yeah.
But at least
but keep in mind, so like when you say you're an alcoholic, like I couldn't relate to that because I knew I was the biggest drug addict on earth, right?
Right.
But I got locked up when I was a kid. I'd never been to a bar. I'd never been on a date, never worked a job in my life, nothing. So like, of course I need to go drink like all my buddies did in their 20s, right?
Right.
So I'm getting out of prison. I'm like, there's no chance I'm going to identify with an alcoholic and not drink when I've never been to a bar before. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm entitled to do that, right?
Right.
I just got wrong by God. Of course I'm entitled to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So then I go do that every day, and not a plan in the world of what to do. And just like, you know.
Right, so this is once you're released.
Right when I got released, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what my question, because most people, the majority, probably 95%, 99% of people that go to prison, they end up back in prison.
Yeah, I think the real number is like 87% or something. It's crazy.
Okay, most people, I ended up, I went to county jail, and I spent a little bit of time there, and I remember them saying, okay, we'll see you next time. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I will not be back.
And that's normal. That's what they tell to everybody. Right. At the end, for motivation, I used to go around to cops and ask them like how long they thought I would stay out for.
Right.
Not one of them said longer than like a year. You know what I'm saying? And not one of them.
Right.
And they're like, why do you always ask us that? I'm like, just to put it in the memory bank back there. Uh-huh. But then I refer to that. Like when times were getting hard, I was just like, dude, you're going to make all those people right, and you're going to be wrong. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that's the only thing that kept me through tough times. Because I always say this, dude, like for a guy like me, that's tough. It's easy to go sit in a prison cell. You know, what's tough is being sober and like living a real life and paying bills and like completely change your life when you have no idea how to even live a life.
You know, something that I think I went through this trauma intensive and I realized like my pattern, part of my pattern. Okay. So I'm not going to get into it, but the short version, I'm humiliated. Step 2, I'm lonely. I'm alone. Step 3, I'm angry. And the anger comes out as drive, motivation to succeed. So I go and I succeed in business. I succeed, like whatever it is, like that drive is so that I can turn around and say, F you, F you, F you. So it's kind of like you almost had something similar going on there. So it's like that drive, that anger, it's anger.
If
really.
you can harness it and use it, it's an advantage.
Yeah. It's not to say it's healthy.
You're right.
It's not healthy.
Yeah.
But it can be used to your advantage.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
So anyways, I get out now. I'm going to bars every day, right? Mm-hmm. The old good old Sandbar, right where I used to live there. And I'm there 6 days a week. And
what's your thought when you're released and you were shackled up? What's your thought like? What do you think you're going to do? What do you think life is going to be like?
Okay, so I'll tell you, like success, like what I strive for, right? My whole concocted plan after that solitary confinement stint, like when I'm getting out on the streets, like the final plan I devise is like, no joke, Tim, the peak of success from my situation. Somehow I got to figure out how to get a construction job, probably make a minimum wage, right? Mm-hmm. Figure out how to get sober. Mm-hmm. And I used to tell myself, like, you just got to be okay with hanging out with those old white dudes in AA that are boring as hell and have a boring ass life, but at least I'm not in prison. Okay. That's what I strive for. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was a tip of success for my case. That's why, like, when I got to where I was like, dude, I got to get out of here and go show these guys we can do this. You know, like, we don't even have any clue this is possible. It's because of what we tell ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing positive for these. There's no programs in there or anything to show you anything other than that. So all you know is, you've seen so-and-so come in and out 4 times while I was in there for doing my 12-year prison sentence. Everybody else I seen get out, they're all back. Like, what do I possibly have that's like makes me think I'm going to last out there? But all I told myself was, I just got to get out.
It's almost like the rooms of AA.
Oh, it's the
you
exact
stay
same
in the
thing.
rooms of AA long enough, you see people, they go in and out, in and out,
and that's the same thing, yeah. And I used to be so bitter because I'd see these dudes that would come in, you know, 1.5 years, 2 years, then 3 years, 4 years, and for the same charge I'm doing 12 years for. So that made me so bitter and so resentful towards God. And like, I would literally talk shit about God. Like, if anyone said that, you know, I'd like, F that lame. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even try that shit. There's not a chance he's real. And if you just tell him I said to suck it, that's what I used to say. Like, how disrespectful is that, right? But like, I was mad at, if he was real, like, there's no way he cared about me or loved me. So like, why would I care anything about him? That was my mindset for so long. Okay. And then enough positive stuff can happen to you, then you literally can't even deny that he's real.
Right.
And that's where I'm at now. Okay. Like, as people now, like, it works so well because I was in the AA rooms, you know, and they always tell you got to have a higher power, right? Mm-hmm. I was literally I never try to act better than anybody, but like, I was the one guy I told my sponsor, I was like, we got to agree on one thing. For one is, don't even try to say the word God to me. And 2, like, I am my own higher power. Like, if you put yourself through what I went through, like, trust me, you think you're your own higher power before too. There's no chance I'm going to believe in God. And if you try to put this God shit down my throat, it'll probably kill me because I'll relapse because I'm like resentful. You're trying to force God down my throat. That was a talk I literally had with my sponsor. Luckily, I've known my sponsor my whole life. My dad got my sponsor sober. He was a good family friend forever. And
is your dad sober?
Yeah, my dad's.
How long has your dad been sober?
So he would have close to 30 years. The only night he relapsed within that 30 years was the night I got sentenced to 12 years in prison. Wow. He got a bottle of wine, got a hotel room, and just slammed the whole bottle of wine by himself, and that was it. Wow. Got right back on the wagon the next day.
Okay.
So he brings meetings into prisons out there in South Dakota. He's like really, really active too. Mm-hmm. And, you know, crazy enough, we're the only 2 people in my family that are sober, and we're the only 2 that are successful.
Wow.
Both sides of my family. And everybody in his family is full-blown alcoholics.
Okay, so when you were released, you were back drinking. Did you ever get back to drugs?
Only when I'm blacked out.
Okay.
Because that's another thing I was going to say. So I couldn't identify with the alcoholic, right? Because I looked at it like this. I don't drink by myself. I've never been a closet drinker. Like, I never really drank. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I say I'm an alcoholic and I can't drink anymore? Right. Plus, that's 90% of the fun to me is looking at when I'm getting out of prison. If I don't drink, all that fun's gone, which is like not even real fun, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was my problem. I got an assault case on parole. And then next thing you know, I have a fentanyl story and I overdosed on fentanyl, blacked out at a bar. And I remember it's like it was yesterday too. It was a Friday afternoon. We were drinking at a bar. It was literally the afternoon time because I remember it's still sunny out. It was a buddy's birthday party. Mm-hmm. And I remember the last thing I remember was doing a shot of Rumplemints, right? And I do the shot of Rumplemints and don't remember anything. Next thing I know, I wake up in an ambulance. And I remember turning to the paramedic and I was like, well, what the hell am I doing in here? You know, I honestly thought I was like, I must have gotten in a fight or something like that. But I was like, I felt my face like there's nothing's wrong with my face. I'm like, what the hell? And so I asked him, I was like, what am I doing in here? He's like, you overdosed. And I'm like, I don't even use drugs anymore. He's like, you did today. And I was just like, what? I'm like, I was at the bar. Like, how could this have happened? And then I'm like, I'm the biggest loser on earth. Like, I'm never going to figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm like, I wish I could have died. No joke. The whole time I'm going to the hospital now, I'm just like, dude, why did I have to survive this? You know, like, even all those times in prison, you know, I wanted to kill myself so bad, but I wouldn't do that because of my mom and my brother. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this was the easy way out for me. You know, I could be an accidental overdose. You know, that's what I used to shoot dope like I got in prison. I would have contests with people, you know, and I would be like, I'll put up as much as you and let's see who can last. And they're like, what if you don't? I'm like, then I overdose and die. I literally don't have nothing to live for, you know, and at least I'm not killing myself. That's what I used to say. And so I get to the hospital. Next thing you know, I was like literally kind of in and out of consciousness. Next thing you know, I hear my little brother in the hallway. And of course, he's on the phone with my dad, trying to tell my dad to book a flight down here from South Dakota. Mm-hmm. And me, now I'm this 31-year-old prison shot caller. And I'm like, yelling at my little brother, what the hell are you telling dad for, you know? And he's like, do you even know what happened to you today? And I was like, I have no idea. He said they told me I overdosed, but I have no idea. I was told I was drinking at the bar with Chris Michelle and them. A doctor comes in at that time. And come to find out, I was full on dead when they found me. Like, no heartbeat, no nothing. Mm-hmm. They got me back. By the time I got to the hospital, he said my heart was only beating 6 beats a minute. So I was the only guy to survive in that condition that he's seen. Mm-hmm. The even trippier part about the story is when I got found by my ex-girlfriend's little sister. And she didn't tell me this till afterwards. And she had a real hard time, you know, because she found me dead, you know. And she was like 21 years old or something like that, you know, like a little innocent girl. And she said after work, she went to go tanning. She said she pulled in and parked her car. So she got out of her car. She walked up to the tanning bed salon door. Said the second she put her hand on the door, something told her to go home. So she takes her hand off the door, gets back in her car and goes home to take a nap. Finds me dead in the house. If she even walks into that tanning bed salon door and then decides to turn around, I'm probably gone. You know, like you can't stay too long without a heartbeat.
Right,
you know?
right.
And then I was like thinking, holy shit, man, my life was saved for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, but what could that be? And I remember like, it's all a mindset. And all I switched was like the victim mindset and of the fact that like, now I'm covered in prison tats. I can't do anything. And my dad, all he kept telling me was get a job, you know? And I'm like, no one's going to hire me. I'm covered in tattoos, you know? But I didn't put one application in. So like right then, all I did was I told myself, all right, I'm done making excuses. I'm going to either go literally go out swinging. I'm going to either try to get sober for real and stop making excuses and like do everything that I said I couldn't or all the stuff that like was suggested to me that I like made an excuse for. And I'm going to really give this a shot. So I go out to South Dakota with my dad and spend, I think 3 weeks or a month out there. You know, meeting every day, sometimes 2 meetings a day, you know, just kind of talking and just trying to figure out what my life's going to be like, you know, and I get a guy that's going to hire me selling cars. So that's my story. You know, my dad.
Is that when your life turned around?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I've been sober since then. Yeah. I've been sober since right after that overdose.
Okay.
And 7.5 years now. Okay. And, nice. And it's crazy. Like you know, it's crazy. Even if I got sober, I thought I was always going to like fiend for drugs. And that's why I never put too much hard work into it, because I was like, even if I do get sober, I don't want to not be able to resist drugs. I thought I was never going to get out of my head. You know what I'm saying? So I was when you're drinking and using, I mean, like I can relate. Yeah. It's like I thought I was always going to. That's what I'm saying. So I thought I was always going to drink. I mean, I was gave up working for the miracle. Yeah. I mean, there was a period of time where I was doing GHB. That was my thing. I thought I was going to do that for my entire life. Yeah. Why would I ever not do this? Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. So I go to. My dad buys me 5 dress shirts at Kohl's, buy one, get one 50% off. Nice. Like 3 pairs of khakis. Okay. And I'm on my way back to Arizona now, and I'm going to go sell cars at Marquee right here in Scottsdale. Okay. And I remember I go to the first sales meeting, and there was a woman there named Marcella Moraga who had just made like 11 grand selling cars. And I was just like, what the, dude, there's really, you guys can make money like that? Like $11,000 in a month to me seems like $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Right. I've never had money. I was a drug addict, little kid. I was never no big time dude. You know, the most money I ever had was like commissary in prison, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I ended up telling her, I was like, yo, and she got like $100 for winning salesperson of the month. And I was like, yo, I bet you I'll beat you next month. She's like, you don't even know how to sell cars. And I was like, well, then take my money. It should be an easy $100 for you.
Right.
We bet on that. I just switched my drug addiction to a money addiction and just listen to what people are doing before me, bro. And I make, I think, $9,000 the first month they're working, win salesperson of the month. I get promoted as a sales manager like 5 months later. Then I get promoted again, or assistant sales manager. Then I make sales manager. And now I'm a finance manager literally 13 months after working there. Like, I have my own office.
Right.
I'm still on parole. I remember my last visit to parole, I was pulling up in a brand new Raptor I bought off the showroom floor at Chapman Ford.
Wow.
And then got off parole. And then, you know, I worked there for almost 7 years. And
so that's until recently.
Yeah, I just quit a year and a half ago. And what was cool is I was the first person there that was sober. Like, nobody, like, they would let dudes, drug addicts work there. You know, it's like if you were selling cars and good at sales, they would bend the rules for you, you know, just like any sales place, you know. And like, you go to that place now, there's 25 dudes that are all sober, that are all jacked, that all sell cars there. I think they have 40 salespeople there. I would say more than half of them have all done prison time and are all sober, all work out together. Like, they go to meetings together. Like, I changed that entire dealership. Like, 3 of the 4 desk managers are all sober. The GM sober. Every single ASM sober. 3 of the 5 finance people are sober. Like, there's no dealership like in the state. And it's like, these customers can't even, it's funny when you get a woman customer, but she's like, and then of course I'm the finance guy and I was the biggest one there. So like, she comes into my office and I remember one of the last customers I had, she's like, what the hell do all you guys eat around here? You know? And I'm like, we're sober, you know, and that's all we do is work out and help people, you know, so that's what we do. So, you know, I bought 12 cars there, I bought a couple houses, and like, thought I was killing it in life, you know, and thought money was making me happy for a while. And then like one day God like was just like, dude, get out of there and like go help people, you know? And it just came over me one night, you know, and it's like, I just remember I was like, dude, there's no way I'm meant to do this, you know? Like, now I've been sober 6-7 years and I just knew I wanted more, you know? I would talk to a lot of people in recovery, but I never hit meetings because I didn't have time to anymore, you know? And I was just like, I just want to take a chance to do something different. You know, I felt like, plus, I don't know if you know, I was a finance manager, so I'm like kind of ripping people off at work. Right. But I'm being sober and like being a good God, dude. Yeah. But I was like, it just kind of contradicted itself. And I was just like, I'm just going to quit my job and go try and figure something out, you know? So I called my GM in there one day and I was just like, yo, I don't even know what to say other than the fact that I'm out and I'm going to go try something new. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't even know yet. I was like, I had some money saved up. But I was like, this is the only job I've ever worked in my life. You know, I'm like, I'll kill myself if I don't ever try this and take a chance on this. And I saw enough people, like, seriously, I saw enough dudes hustling, making money on Instagram. And I was like, there's no way that dude will figure it out and I won't figure it out, you know? Right. And I just started trying to go meet with this and that and every person. I had no idea I was going to do a podcast, but I honestly found God again and just started putting everybody else first. And like my life has, I mean, I live a fairy tale life now, you know, like. No,
they say, I remember when I celebrated 5 years, they said, congratulations, you're no longer a newcomer. And then, and shortly after that, I mean, I was kind of looking at my life and I was looking at the people that I was attracting into my life. And I was like, yeah, okay. It's kind of true. I mean, at 1 or 2 or 3 years, I thought I had long-term sobriety. Yeah. But really it's like 5 years was kind of a good point in time where I say, okay, yeah, that's when things really started to change. Do you agree with that, or how was that?
Yeah, mine might not even taken 5 years. I think it was a couple years, but like I said, and I was just telling these dudes the other day, I'm like, I use that exact same scenario which is why it helps so many people from like the streets and prison now, you know, like I tell them, I'm like the exact same thing. I'm like, the reason you didn't want to quit is because you always thought you were going to struggle with it, right? You know, and like they'd make it 60 days or 90 days and then that urge doesn't get out of their head and then they give up and use again, you know, I'm like, right. I promise you just got to, and like I use the exact same saying I just used, like, don't give up before you see the miracle, you know, like one day it's just going to go away. Like, I don't know when it was or whatever it was, but like I went from like even being sober and still thinking about using to like one day I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I hadn't thought about using for like 3 months now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't cross my mind. Like, and to say that God isn't real is like crazy because God completely removed my obsession to drink and use, which was like, and I fight with my sponsor about this a lot too, because I think there's different levels to addicts. You know what I'm saying? Right. He's a guy that, and it doesn't matter because we all have a purpose. You know what I'm saying? He helps other people in AA and I help the ones that should be dead. You know what I'm saying? Right. And like, so I think there's different levels of that stuff. And I think I'm a 100 on a scale of 1 to 10 as an addict. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like still to the fact that I can, no matter what happens in my life, I don't think to drink and use is like one of the biggest miracles on earth. And like I said, you can go from like hating God and fighting that there's no chance in hell he's real to like now, like there's no one in the world could go through the stuff that I've been through and be where I am and can try and fight the fact that God's real. You know what I'm saying? Like I live a life that people like that never jaywalk don't deserve to live.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like acceptance is the answer. Everything happens exactly the way that it's supposed to. Everything is like perfectly perfect.
Yeah.
And as long as you're, and some of the things that you've said a couple of things. And one of them is you went from being a victim to being responsible. And I think that's one of the biggest things that has to happen for everybody.
100%.
Is like, I'm responsible for every single thing that has happened in my life. And once you switch that, and it sounds like you agree, once you become responsible, your life changes.
100%. It's so easy.
It changes. And being of service, helping other people, making a contribution to this world, like that's going to bring happiness and fulfillment. Because that's really all of us want, is just to be happy and fulfilled.
For sure.
And we do the things that we do because we think it's going to bring happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, which is what I teach and like my coaching on too. It's like all about perspective, because like here's the when I was making a ton of money too, like, and I wasn't happy, I would have paid $1 million just to be happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's like kind of what I teach, is more than anything with my mindset stuff I teach is all about perspective, because I'll teach you how to go through like struggles that like would have literally put you down, and you'll walk through with a smile. And not only that, but you'll think like, dude, that happened for me for a reason.
Right.
You just don't know it yet.
At the time, it might not be very fun.
For sure.
However, looking back, it's like, yeah, that happened for me.
And now even small bad stuff happens to me to this day. I'm like, whatever, it's a lesson. I don't know it yet, but it is what it is. You know, that stuff used to crap me out so bad now. And you know, I know it's just another lesson I'm learning.
How did you get the nickname Chappy?
Chapstick addiction. That's it, bro.
Okay.
I'm addicted to chapstick. They say like it has like the stuff where like.
What kind of chapstick is
I always
that?
use Burt's Bees, and I'm still looking for Burt's Bees sponsor for you guys.
That's the problem.
Why would you use
chapstick?
the white and black stuff?
Yeah, just chapstick.
I got a bunch of. Do you?
I'm telling you, I think it's the regular chapstick. I think the Burt's Bees doesn't work very good. I like the regular chapstick.
I have that too, and I'm not even joking. I'm going to send you a picture when I get home. I have got probably 16 or 20 of these in my nightstand drawer, and probably 10 of those. Yeah. Like it's like
I do have the recurring subscription on Amazon.
Yeah,
so I get
that's what it is, bro. They say it makes the stuff where it cuts your lips when you use chapstick too much, so you always need it. And I feel like I'm just at the point of no return. Like I've chapstick all day, every day. That's it.
Who cares? Who cares?
Yep.
That's funny. Okay, what's your opinion on the use of psychedelics as a tool for recovery?
Now, very open to it.
Okay,
and here's the deal, like. Everybody has their own program in AA. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, or even if it's not AA, the sobriety. You know, I don't want to say that stuff. Like, what works for you might not work for the next person. You know what I'm saying? Like, my old sponsor took Xanax. Do I think that if I took Xanax, would I still be sober? I don't think so. However, it's part of his story. You know, and the doctor prescribed him, so I'm in no judge to be ahead of a doctor and judge him. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that have very bad PTSD cases, and there's a lot of stuff that like the normal guys, like my old sponsor, who's not lived a street life and just a drinker, you know what I'm saying? There's stuff that I've been through that he couldn't even fathom, you know what I'm saying? So like the stuff that might have helped to make his PTSD, if he had it, like it wouldn't even touch my brain, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I was very skeptical at first. Mm-hmm. I did it the first week. I'd say the first week, I don't think I got anything out of it because I think I was too much in shock to even know what the hell was going on. But then
so what exactly did you?
So I did the psychedelic, what is ketamine?
Ketamine? Okay, ketamine. So you did ketamine. Okay.
And like I said, I think the first time I was too even in shock to realize what the hell was going on. Uh-huh. But the next week when I did it, it's like, I was just trying to explain this to Megan because I was trying to find the right words to describe it here. And it's just like, it makes you feel like a little kid again for a couple of days. Okay. If that makes sense. Like all this big tough guy image and all this like gangster facade I put on for so many years and all that stuff. And like the dickhead stuff, like it just makes it all go away. You know, like me and my wife had to have a little conversation afterwards last night, and not even like an argument, but like a minor disagreement, you know? And I even told her, I was like, I can't even have this talk today. Like, I'm like, I just got done doing this. I'm like a little baby right now. I just want to be happy. And like, so I think it just like recharges my like.
Well, I think it makes your brain more plastic.
For sure.
And so it's like the whole thing is we want to become kind of reprogrammed and work through some of the
why I do think it works a ton, because it literally like they say, there's like it blocks that wall from PTSD or whatever. Your brain automatically blocks the wall, and then they say the ketamine dumbs that down so you can get through it. Like, I firmly believe that, because I experienced things afterwards that like I feel like I hadn't experienced since I was a kid. You know, like I feel like it's almost feel like I'm like getting my life over. It feels like I'm happy and like I'm like innocent now. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's hard to explain. I'm honestly really excited to go today because this is like the last time was like I would say my first time I really did it, and he gave me the minimum dose or something like that. Okay. I was kind of nervous about it too, but so I don't know. I'm excited. I'm 3 weeks into it, and I think and I'm not a big therapy guy. Like, I don't like to talk about my problems, you know, like when you're in prison, they just throw you in a cell and you deal with stuff. So that's kind of my mindset, you know, that's, which is the only reason I kind of was open to it, is because, like, you know, if it make me talk about things I don't like to talk about, because if there's someone that doesn't like to talk about things, it's me, you know what I'm saying? So like, and it does work for that a lot.
Rather shove it down, which leads to depression.
For sure, 100%. You got to talk about stuff.
Depression to press down.
Just like any relapse. You know, the relapses happen way before the relapse actually happens.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So, and like this, look at it like this, I'm clearing out all the passes so that there's no relapse my way. You know what I'm saying? Like all the wreckage that can cause me slip-ups and relapse and stuff like that. I'm just trying to clear all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I did a podcast with Doug Brackman, who is the founder of Driven, or he wrote a book called Driven, and he's a double PhD, and he's been sober for 35 years, and then he actually ended up relapsing on THC, and he had gone down the path. He's got quite the story, but he's got his experience with it, which I know it's been helpful for him, but then he also feels like it could be addictive. Some things could lead to other things, which I haven't really heard that from most people. I mean, what I've heard is positive results.
Here's the deal. I could see it could if you're into that kind of stuff. Because I was just telling my buddy Johnny that I got sober with today, because I told him I had my treatment today.
Yeah.
He's like, how do you know? I was like, and he asked me, I was like, it's so weird to me because, like, I'm such a drug addict, but, like, it's never a drug I would like to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, like, I don't think there's anything, like, I don't. And like, I feel slow. That's what I was telling him. I was like, you know, I'm like slow all day long afterwards. I'm like, I'm a speed guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to get up and do stuff like that. So if I was going to relapse on drug, that'd be the last drug I would ever relapse on. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't think of it like that. It just, I don't know, but I do think it's going to work, and we'll see. Like I said, I'm excited to go through like 8 or 10 weeks of it. And I don't think it's addictive. I don't think so. Like, you can't, it's not like a drug that you could do and function on. So like, how could you be addicted to that?
Right.
Like,
well, and they say like drugs that are addictive, you're chasing the same high.
You're not chasing nothing. You're
not chasing anything.
Right, yeah.
And you don't really, and it's different every single, and they say that it's different every single time you do it. So it's not something that is addictive.
And even me, like, as much as it's like cool going through it, I'm ready for it to be done when I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like in a bad way, but I'm like, when this is over, I'm cool. Now I'm like, because I want to see the after, not like the high that shit doesn't get to me. Shit trips me out kind of, it's weird, you know? But like, I know that I've just buying into the bigger purpose, you know? So like, I'm excited for the after high so I can see how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and they say, and for me, abstinence, I was 100% abstinence, and, you know, I've been sober for 13 years. And for my first 10 years, it was just abstinence. And then it's just, there's more positive results coming from psychedelics.
Yep.
And be it ketamine, bufo, psilocybin, MDMA, like all of them.
Mushrooms. I have a bunch of friends that are like bodybuilders that don't do drugs or drink, and they're all about mushrooms and all that kind of stuff too, which is one of the only reasons I kind of entertain this too, because I've heard a lot about it from my buddies that like they eat these little mushroom energy bars before they go work out.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't do that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
So,
well, and when I found, you know, Bill W., his spiritual experience came as a result of LSD, which that was hushed. And I just, Michael Pollan's documentary, How to Change Your Mind, there's a section on Bill W. and LSD, and it's just like, there's more and more people, and there's more and more positives that have come as a result of psychedelics. And it's like, well, you know, it's working for some people, and me being clean and sober, completely abstinent from everything for my first 10 years, that was what I needed. That was what worked for me. But then, you know, the past few years, I've just become more open to it. And there's a lot of people that are seeing positive results from it.
I agree.
And so I'm glad that you're having a good experience, and I'm looking forward to seeing what things look like, because it's my understanding that every kind of experience kind of digs a little deeper and is different.
Yeah, for sure. I know, same. That's the only reason I was worried about this podcast is usually these days I'm like on edge. I'm like, well, how's this going to be? You know what I'm saying? So, but
well, thank you for being open and in acceptance.
Of course, man. I'm living God's work, bro. Like I said, I'm playing with house money, bro. So anything I do, I'll put other people first. But if someone asks me to do something, I'm there.
Right. Well, yeah, I appreciate that. So let's talk about anything else you want to say in reference to the psychedelic or ketamine or anything like that.
No, I mean, just some works for other people, don't work for others, like I said, but just try it. You know what I'm saying? That's stuff from a doctor. It's not like you're like using drugs. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's an hour in a room with a doctor. You know what I'm saying? And
that's okay. So the one thing I would say about psychedelics versus like crack, cocaine, heroin, like your guy when you were in prison, he's like, yeah, man, just try this heroin, just do it. And that's my experience with drugs is people are like, just do it, just do it, just do it. With psychedelics, I know quite a few people that utilize psychedelics for therapeutic purposes. Not one single one of them is always like, hey man, you should just do it.
Right.
I've never heard that. Yeah. It's always like, if you're called to it, then you know, it's just a different, it's a different
you're
message.
Right. And when you're so bought into like your plan in life and calling and stuff like that, like here's the deal. Like if this God didn't want me doing this wouldn't have been brought in my face like this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, why fight stuff? You know, it's all, whatever it is probably from God. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff way above what I'm thinking.
Right. Okay, let's talk about your prison curriculum app. Tell me about that.
So it's when you do all that prison time, and especially like the rough time I was in cells, like there is zero programs. Like Arizona's like literally like lock you up, throw away the key, like you don't get out except for 3 showers a week, and that's it. You know, like there's zero things positive, which is so crazy. So like when I say like I didn't do positive stuff and I wish I would have done positive stuff in prison, like there wasn't anything positive to do. You know what I mean? Like the only thing positive I could have done was like not gotten so much trouble, so I went to a minimum security yard and then like did college or something like that. But like that wasn't in the deck of cards for me either, though. You know what I mean? It's just like, God, I'm sorry, just completely drew a blank on where I was going with that. What was the question you asked me again?
You were talking about
the prison
curriculum app.
So I partnered with a guy named Carlos, who he did 17 and a half years out there in LA, like tough prisons out there in California. And we both teach mindset stuff. So like our curriculum takes like a leader in a pod to not be a shot caller and be like a positive shot caller.
Okay.
So instead of like running politics down to people, you're like running positive stuff down to people. And like we have like, they're going to call for like their own little mini therapy groups in prisons and stuff. And like me and Carlos teach it on Zoom. We were going to start Pinal County Jail with Sheriff Lamb, but I just got back from Utah this week and they want to start out in Utah. So it's just like me and Carlos did it. 2 dudes that did 30 years of prison straight. As 2 of them, we both went away. As he went away at 17, I went away at 18 years old. And then God brought us together out there in California. Do you know Sister Mary? Have you ever heard of her?
No.
She gets all these lifers out of prison out in California.
Okay.
Anyways, that's where I met him. God just put us together. He's less than 2 years out of prison. He's one of the most remarkable human beings on earth. And we just teach dudes how to be successful and switch their mindset and like start preparing for the streets. And then it's going to devise individual game plans for them when they get out, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, and the stuff that I needed to figure out and know, I didn't even know what I needed to know. You know what I'm saying? So now we can like literally show them, yo, this is what you're going to have. We're going to figure this out for you, where you're living, your car situation. And on top of that, we give them little exercises. So it's like daily motivational stuff instead of consuming bad stuff, you know, and getting them on like, because if you ask me, any of the positive people in prison that did stuff had a solid prison routine, you know, so we get them on our exact prison routines, you know, and then we mentor. What is
your solid prison routine look like?
So me, if I was in maximum security, I'd get up at like 5:30, 6 a.m. And I would do abs right when I'd get up in the morning. Then I would drink a coffee and I'd write a couple letters, positive stuff, you know, like little gratitude stuff. And then after that, then I'm watching my little sports center while I'm doing like my push-ups in the cell, finish cleaning my cell. So usually by the time and then like noon, I'm done with my lunch, both workouts, writing letters, my day's done. And it's so crazy. Then I would hang on the bars for a couple hours, which means like it's like Shawshank Redemption. So you all just yell at each other, but like, so I'd hang on the bars and talk to people for a couple hours, and then usually 3 o'clock.
Hang on the bars, like
literally just yelling at the bars with people. Okay. And you don't get music videos in there, so like I always like music. So like BET used to play rap videos from like 4 o'clock on like 106 in Park. So 3 o'clock every day is when I would bird bath. So then I would literally like, no joke, like you sit on your toilet and pour cups of water over yourself into an actual bird bath, and that's how you do your baths in there. Okay. And then clean up your entire cell. So by the time 4 o'clock comes around, I'm watching TV and then basketball or whatever sports are on that night until the nighttime comes around, and I'm in bed 8:30, 9 o'clock every night and do the same thing every day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
7 days a week. And that's what I tried to do. I got up at 5:30 this morning still too. You know, it's like, if I got up at 5:30 in prison when there was nothing to do, why the hell could I not get up at 5:30 out here? You know what I'm saying? And so many people dude, people's problems out here is that, like, number one, like you're going to always hear me talk about perspective. Like, these people have no clue of like what a different perspective on life is. You know what I'm saying? So like they feel so ungrateful for the smallest sign of adversity, or, you know, one little thing doesn't go their way and they're just ready to give up on their hopes and dreams out here because they've never struggled. You know what I'm saying? They've never had to like put themselves in a shitty situation and conquer it, you know, and overcome it. And when you notice, when you do get in shitty situations, you don't give up and you actually come out the other end, like how much better do you feel at the end when you come through something you didn't think you'd come through? You know what I'm saying? It's like, but so many people are scared to take chances, and that's the biggest problem. I feel like why I do so well out here is like I ain't scared of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the worst thing that can happen to me? I fall on one of my dreams. Like, and here's the thing: last year when I quit my job, I probably set 30 goals. I'm not counting them. I'm just realistically 30 goals. I probably came completely true on 10 of them. Do I think? Damn, I can't believe I didn't come through on 20 of my goals. Or no, do I think of like I smashed 10 goals that were like, that are goals that most people don't even have these goals of. And the other 20 that I set, like I came way closer than anybody else would have came, and I almost completed all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, have you read the book The Gap or the Gain by Ben Hardy? So he talks about the gap or the gain. People, you either live in the gap or you live in the gain. Living in the gap means that you're talking about all the things that you didn't accomplish. You think about, you focus on the things you didn't accomplish. Whereas if you focus on the gain, it's a much better place to be. You focus on the things that you accomplished. You focus on your progress. What was my progress over the last 90 days?
Yes.
What was my progress over the last? It's like, where was I a year ago? Where was I 90 days ago? And that's when you start to feel good about yourself, because you're focused on the things that you did.
It's funny you say that, because I always tell people in prison, I was like, the worst thing that you can do is ever forget where you come from, because, you know, your best day in prison doesn't even compare to your worst day out here.
Right.
Times 100. You know what I'm saying? And it's just your point at which you just showed us right there. Right. It's the same stuff.
Right. Is there a question that you wanted me to ask you today?
People always want to know, like, what keeps me going, you know, and like.
So what keeps you going?
More than anything, I always want to fit in with normal guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, my whole life as a drug addict, I just want to be normal. You know what I mean? Whether I want to drink normal, I want to have a normal job, you know, and like, I just want to be normal. And it's like, I'm over that, bro. And I just like, I honestly, for the first time in my life, I just pray and I want to just like prove the people wrong that doubted me. But more than anything, I just want to like be a proud son for my mom and my kid now. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that I have a kid, it's like clearly what keeps me going. But even before then, it's like, for one, if I give up on my dreams or let the other people be right, it's like I'm letting all those corrections officers that doubted me be right. And I'm letting all the people that said I would never get off drugs be right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who do I want to have the final say in my story? Myself. And if I do that, I just can't give up.
Okay. Never give up.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the only thing I did right. Seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't quit and that's it.
Well, they say that the one thing that people that are successful have in common is that they don't quit. It's not because they're smarter. It's not because they have more money, they have more support. It's just they don't quit. Like,
when we talk about those goals, when I make those 30 goals, there's a chance that I could have fallen on my face on the first 20 goals, but I still didn't give up. You know what I'm saying? Because then I'm like, the law of odds is in my favor now. You know what I'm saying? So the next 10 goals I make, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I never, ever give up. And if you don't give up, you can do anything.
Right.
It's simple as that is.
And that's even, that goes with business owners too, entrepreneurs.
That's kind of more who I'm talking to than anything.
A lot of people give up. I mean, like, hey, it's like you and I both know starting a business is like, there's a lot. There is a lot.
Yes.
And it's not all roses.
Do you know how many times I quit my job and like literally like the next week I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I just want to go get my job back. It's so much easier. You know what I'm saying? But like, you never know what your heart is until you try other things.
Right. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more about you? And I know that do you want to talk about your coaching program?
Sure. I mean, I would say go to my website, petermeyerhoff.com. My Instagram is Peter_Meyerhoff.
How do you spell Meyerhoff?
Yes. Meyerhoff.
Okay.
Linktree is in there. It's got everything. You know, I was on Vice TV. They did a whole TV show. I was a teenage felon on there. So that's on my Linktree. But, you know, coaching, if anybody's like literally looking for a coach and wants to get more out of life, like I always say this, like, I'm not going to teach you how to make money. I'm going to teach you how to keep the money you have and be happier every day. Like my coaching is more mindset than anything. Obviously, I'm going to get you on a routine, get your fitness jacked, because to be honest, I mean, you can't be happy if you don't like the way you look in the mirror. And that's just, I firmly believe that. Some people can, some people can't. And here's the deal. If you can, then you're not one of my coaching clients. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But the thing I'm most proud about is honestly my podcast and my book now. You know, like my podcast, Roll Call with Chappy, it's on all platforms. Right now we stream in like 350 prisons across the whole country. Avery County Jail in Arizona, and I get DMs and emails every day from the one I was just showing you. Is like, he goes, you got 1,000 inmates in this whole main prison. Listen to your podcast, all talking about it. So it's like
amazing.
Like I said, I'm just playing with house money. I'm just honestly trying to change the world. If you have any questions about my coaching, shoot me a DM, or you can click right on my website. You can book a call with me. The book Against All Odds is on Amazon, every other platform. It's already a bestseller, and I'm not even saying this because it's my book. I've had a lot of people that have literally told me back, like they legit could not put the book down. I had dudes that were like, I'm walking through the airport because my flight landed, I'm still reading this book. It's like 252 pages, but I promise you won't be able to put it down.
Amazing. Peter, thank you so much for your time. That does it for our time with Peter Meyerhoff, aka Chappy.
That's and chapstick.
Thanks again for watching the show. We'll catch you on the next episode of I Love Being Sober.
If you found this video to be of value, be sure to like it, subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos, leave a comment if you have a question, if you've got something to say. Camelback Recovery provides treatment services for people struggling with mental health, mental illness, addiction, alcoholism. So if you or someone you know is struggling, be sure to reach out to us. You can go to our website, camelbackrecovery.com, or our information is in the comments section below. And we provide everything from detox, inpatient, outpatient treatment, sober living, recovery coaching, sober companion services. So either we'll be able to help you, or we'll be able to refer you to people or treatment centers that might be a better fit. So I will see you in the next video.